Thank you. Alrighty, so I'm going to get out of the way of my presentation here. So um, this is a presentation I actually gave in Europe. So if you're in Europe, I'm sorry you've already seen this, but if you are not, this is going to be the first time you've seen it. I'm going to talk a little bit about our process and our journey building a Bitcoin model. There's a lot of stuff out there these days around like people building their own language models, people building their own AI and all this sort of thing. And there's a lot of miscommunication, or myths and misconceptions. So I'm going to try and go through a couple of those. I'm going to basically give you a mental framework to view and understand AI from, like, what is a real risk, what is a fake risk in this space. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I call the propaganda war, some new paradigms, and then we are also going to do a bit of a Q&A with the model, which is you, as the audience, will have the chance to ask a question. I'm going to type it in the computer, and we've actually built a Satoshi voice, and it's going to talk through the speakers, and it's going to answer some questions. So I have no idea what this thing is going to say. It could say good things, could say bad things. We're going to find out. But anyway, as Bitcoin Dad mentioned, this is a Bitcoin model trained on a more Bitcoin-like corpus. So what we've done differently than what's out there in the marketplace, like, it's very easy to take ChatGPT, get a bit of data, and do what's called the process of vectorization, and then just have ChatGPT talk to the data. It's very trivial. Anybody can do that. There's a bunch of people out there already doing that in Bitcoin and in a million other places. Like, I think Binance built one. They say it's trained on their own data, but it's not. It's just data that they have that ChatGPT talks to. And that's a fine way to build something really basic, but you are still stuck with the underlying model. So as soon as there is a question that doesn't fit within the database of examples that are in there, the model will just default to whatever it normally does. What we tried to do that was different was train a model from scratch, which is we wanted to change the weights and biases of our model to such a degree where anything you ask it, by default, it answers more like a Bitcoiner. So for example, you shouldn't have to say to ChatGPT, hey, pretend you're Mises or Rothbard and like tell me why inflation is bad. So you don't have to prompt it that way. You just ask, tell me about inflation. Our model should say, inflation is the deterioration of people's purchasing power. Inflation is bad. Inflation is theft. It should default to that as a standard. So in other words, it should represent a different paradigm or a different model of the world. So the reason we're doing this is because we think, when it comes to AI, you need some optionality. Like at the moment, whether it's open source AI or closed source AI, it doesn't matter. They all suck. Llama, ChatGPT, no matter what it is, they're all crap. In terms of like, I should clarify what I mean by they all suck. They all represent the Wikipedia model of the world, right? So if you're using it for learning something, you're going to learn what is mainstream. And more often than not, I'm pretty sure everyone in this room understands that mainstream information is not very useful at times, right? Like sometimes it's useful, but more often than not, it's not. So if you want to do something different, you need to actually train the model to function or, think. And I say think in air quotes because these models don't actually think. So, why are we doing this? I'm going to explain it through a couple examples. And I'll start with like breaking down some myths. So in the process of doing this, we went out and we basically scraped every Bitcoin website. We took every single Bitcoin book, every Bitcoin podcast. We like gathered this entire like enormous treasure trove of Bitcoin data, and we realized that we couldn't use it. The reason being, when you're training these models, it's not about the quantum of data you have, it's about the quality of data. So I'll give you a quick little example of how to think about this. When we trained our first model, we took like all the Bitcoin books, the Bitcoin Standard, 21 questions, Little Bitcoin Book, all of it, and we just broke it up into chapters and we fed the whole chapters into the model. The model then started spitting out these like long answers, which were like chapters long, and it would just like repeat itself. We're like, what the hell is this thing doing? And what we realized is when you're training a model, you're not training it to know the words. You're not training it any knowledge. What you're doing is you're training it style, and you're training a relationship between words and between phrases. These things are probability machines. So it's not the quantum of data, it's the quality of data. So what we ended up having to do was we had to take these chapters, we had to break it up into paragraphs, we had to then take each paragraph and turn it into a question and an answer, and we actually fed the question and answer from every book into the model. And it's the question and answer that represented the quality in terms of form and style of the data that the model was trained on. So it's not as simple as taking stuff and just throwing it in the model. And this is where, when people talk about the cost of training a model, this is a common misconception. This relates to the data thing that I was just talking about. Who's heard that ChatGPT was trained on the whole internet? Like, I'm sure people have heard that, right? It's completely false. Like, the difference between how much data there is on the internet versus how much ChatGPT was trained on is kind of like the difference between El Zonte and the sun, right? Like, it's not like a couple orders of magnitude. It's like phenomenally different. So there's always going to be more data than what you can actually train a model on. And this is one of the big difficulties we've had with this Bitcoin model. Most of the time, money, effort, and energy goes into structuring the data, not the GPUs. When people say training a model is expensive, it's the data piece, not the GPUs. The GPUs are expensive. That's something you can't get away from. But that's actually something that comes down in cost. It's the data where all the money is spent. I'm going to skip this myth because it's not important now. The key thing that I want you guys to take away from sort of this little change in mindset when you hear people talk about AI and stuff is that these things are not intelligent. OpenAI doesn't know anything. ChatGPT doesn't know anything. Neither does Llama. Neither does Google's Bard. None of that sort of stuff. They are not referencing data from some database. There's a classic. I love watching on Twitter. People like, oh, ChatGPT's lying. It's hallucinating. It's like, well, the actual fact is all language models hallucinate 100% of the time. It's just that 80% of the time these hallucinations are accurate. So everything that comes out of a language model, everything that comes out of ChatGPT, even when it comes out of Spirit of Satoshi, when we've got a functional model, is going to be completely made up. It's just that probabilistically speaking, the words that are coming out are correct, hopefully. So you can think of these AIs more as probability machines. Kind of, when you go to Google and you start typing in something and it finishes the sentence for you. That's what these things are. They're just more sophisticated versions because they've been trained. They have a larger probability mechanism that underlies what they produce. So does what I'm saying mean that AI is not useful or dangerous or perhaps useful? And this is this is a sort of common misconception when I tell people, when I kind of pierce the veil on the magic that is language models, they're like, oh, so you're just telling me it's just a probability machine? I'm like, well, just the probability machine is actually pretty powerful anyway. And I'll tell you why. The image you can have in your head is like a hammer, right? A hammer is useful for beating someone over the head with it, or building a house, or tenderizing meat, whatever, right? Tools are tools, and AI is fundamentally a tool. It's not another human being. It's not some sentient thing that's going to have its own agency all of a sudden. That kind of stuff is a red herring designed to freak people out. AI is a tool. Now, how that tool is used, and you'll see it's the same problem over and over again. How that tool is used is what matters. And this is where we get into the crux of the conversation. This is what I want you guys to walk away with, is the real risks and the fake risks. When you hear people talking about artificial general intelligence, like a conscious machine, something that can think and have its own agency, know that you are being scammed, okay? This is not happening anytime soon, if ever. We don't understand intelligence, let alone what consciousness is. It's after thousands of years of philosophizing about this, we still don't know shit. But to give you just an idea, we are starting to, just through a language model, through a probability machine, get a sense of what computational intelligence looks like, which is one sliver of what cognitive intelligence is, which is a sliver of what human beings, for example, as generally intelligent species are. We have emotional intelligence, muscular intelligence, hormonal intelligence, emotional intelligence. We have fucking all these intelligences, you can't even measure them. Machines don't have that because they are just producing probabilities. There's so much more. So when people talk about AGI, it is a red herring for what I consider the real risk, which is inception. And what I mean by inception is this, is if you know Plato's cave allegory, which is, show the shadow and people think that's reality. The idea is that which you see, that which you perceive, that which you ingest becomes what's real. And we've seen this over the last couple of years, right? Just through Google and social media, feeding us what is real, people sort of get brainwashed into believing what is real. But now imagine, and this is where I believe the real risk is, and this is what we need to think about as a set of human beings who want to be more free and intelligent, is that in the next 5, 10 years, you're not going to use Google anymore. Like, I mean, even now, the way we use Google has changed. 5 years ago, you still may have gone to like the second page of Google. 10 years ago, you definitely went to the second, third page of Google. Now, it's like what Google tells you at the top, and that's it. Nobody even goes and like clicks on anything. It's like, Google says, and that's it. That's the truth. That's reality, right? That is exactly where language models are going. Nobody's going to search for anything anymore. They're not going to like do any research. They're not going to try and understand anything. They'll be like, what does ChatGPT say? Okay, yep, eat the bugs. You are evil. Having babies is bad because you're killing the environment. Whatever it's going to tell you, right? And you're going to be like, okay, that's what I should do. This is a danger. Now, think about this. So that's the progression. Imagine like everything you know about the world, everything you understand, coming from a language model that is one of these two guys. That poses some risks, some threats to how the general consciousness or the general thinking around society is. And then obviously imagine if everything that these things tell you is like filtered by our friendly language police here, who decide what is, like whenever you hear the word safe coming out of these people's mouths, like run or responsible AI, it's really funny when they started releasing template regulatory stuff for the AI space, because most of AI is like, as I said, I mean, in fact, all of AI is just probabilities. With respect to language models, because that's been the recent breakthrough, the regulation revolves around the use of safe language and to ensure that the data that models are trained on is not only they use the word harmless, safe, and responsible, but that all models are run through toxicity filters to ensure that nobody's feelings are hurt and make sure everybody's safe. So anyway, that's essentially what's happening. And this is why, like, I always pose this question to people. It's like, which way Western men? Do you want, like, iris scanning CBDCs, with WorldCoin, mainstream schooling and, generalist woke AI? Or do you want some alternatives? Like, Bitcoin is obviously alternative money. We have that already. We need alternative education. There's a lot of that happening in the Bitcoin space, and I think that's a great example of the things that are going to come after this. And we also need alternative intelligence, which is this was basically a long way of me saying why the hell we're building or trying to build this Satoshi model. And, it really, like, boils down to this idea. It's you cannot solve the problems of today with the same kind of thinking as today. Language models are reflections of a type of thinking. Remember that. The current language models represent the current thinking. We ain't changing no paradigms if we keep doing the same thing. That's insanity. We need to think differently, so you need to train these models in a different way, which is what we're trying to do. Because we're going to be in a propaganda. You think propaganda was bad these last couple years with, like, fat is fit and, you'll own nothing, be happy and all this sort of stuff. Like, it's about to get 100 times worse, 1,000 times worse, 1,000,000 times worse. So we need some alternatives. And that doesn't mean that, like some AI, bot like Satoshi is going to come to the rescue and save us all, but it may mean that tools like what we're trying to build with Spirit of Satoshi might be used by people like you to produce counter propaganda, like this stuff. Because that's how you win. That's how you fight. You got to present an alternative. That's essentially what Satoshi did. So, my whole theory here is that to orange pill, a billion people, there needs to be something that helps fight the propaganda war. And our little motto here is, with this model, we are no longer all Satoshi, but Satoshi is now all of us. So we're going to do something, we're going to do this demo. I want to say one final word around what we're doing with Satoshi so that, it's basically an ask from the audience, is if you go to train.spiritofsatoshi, so kind of you got spiritofsatoshi.ai, if you just put a train dot in front of it, you can participate in helping us actually train the model, clean data, curate data, create data, and help us actually do that data phase. Because OpenAI has $100 million to spend on contractors to help them tag and label data. We don't have $100 million yet. Maybe when Bitcoin hits 10 million, we'll be a little bit closer, but it's going to take a little time. So until then, we need your help to come in and put your knowledge to use. Like I always say, we've got this sort of brain trust in Bitcoin. Like everyone's been reading Austrian economics, Bitcoin Standard, this, that. Like there's a lot of knowledge here, and the way we use it at the moment is amongst ourselves and yelling at people on Twitter. Now we can use it for something a little bit more functional. Hopefully, you can actually earn some sats for helping us train the model. So you can do that, or just go to spiritofsatoshi.ai and you'll see the link there to help us train. But anyway, without further ado, we are going to ask Satoshi some questions. So let me lay out some ground rules. Satoshi is still a beta. So it is, it says the most wild things. We asked it last week, like, who's the president of the United States? And it said, Joe Biden, who's a puppet of the Federal Reserve. And we're like, shit, delete that. The NSA is coming after us. So it might say some things like that, or it could say things that are like really nuanced. The other day I was presenting it at SatsConf, and we asked it to explain Bitcoin to a grandma, and it sounded like it was talking about sex toys. So anyway, Satoshi's got a wild mind. So what we are going to do is, do we have a mic runner? Do we have someone to like hand out a mic? Because if we do, I want people to just, if you got a question, try and like, I mean, if you can ask a funny question, great, because we might get a funny response. But let's play. You know, so whoever's got questions, man in the blue shirt.
Is Bitcoin a scam?
Oh, is Bitcoin a scam? Okay. All right. So it takes the model a moment to answer because we are running on small GPUs. So we've got to give it a second. And then I've got to press the play button, and it's going to send the data to our little voice generation thing. So what we did for the voice, you'll hear it in a second. It's like this Japanese accented. Okay, so this is a pretty crap answer, but let's see what it says. You guys, it's probably too small to read there, but it's going to speak in a second. And you'll see it's a pretty cool voice. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I need to tell it to answer in a single paragraph. But it's coming. It's coming, it's coming, it's thinking. Come on, Satoshi, wake up. He's a little bit old.
Bitcoin is not considered a scam by the majority of experts and enthusiasts in the cryptocurrency space. It was created in 2009 by an anonymous individual or group of individuals known as Satoshi Nakamoto. Bitcoin operates on a decentralized network utilizing blockchain technology, which allows for secure...
Whoop, I killed the audio. My bad. I'm gonna ask him to tell it in a more funny and toxic way. Let's see what he says. While he's doing that, let's get the next question lined up. So, okay, you're first.
And transparent transactions without...
Whoop. Okay. Man, the internet's failing here. This is a problem. Okay.
So I believe like when you try to ask a question, you should present both sides like in an honest way so you can have an honest debate. So my question would be is explain Keynesian economies in their terms and then use Satoshi's way to give the criticism to the Keynesian economies.
To kind of like rebut it, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so how could I ask that question in a single line? Help a brother out. Otherwise I'll be typing here for a while like that cat, you know? Okay, while you think of how to ask that in a single line, let's go to another one. Oh, damn. Okay. Looks like the internet cut out. All right, let's try a new thing. Hit me.
Yeah.
It was you, right?
Will
we have someone
Javier
in the back. Okay.
Will Javier Milei be the next president of Argentina?
Okay. All right. I'm just going to say yes. I don't think it's going to know what the hell you're talking about. So, I mean, this is going to be funny. I'm going to tell it to please answer in a single paragraph. All right, let's see what he says. I don't think there's going to be anything in here about that because like our training has specifically been, it's specifically revolved around like Bitcoin texts that are probably older than what oh no. Was there, I missed it, okay. Guys, unfortunately, Satoshi has been made obsolete by the internet, perhaps. Satoshi might need a reboot. Hold on. This is, the demo gods are after me. I think Biden heard what I called him, or heard what Satoshi called him. Okay, so wait, hold on. How about we skip the Malay one because God knows what it's going to say. Let's go with you. Why did you? Okay, cool. That's good. That's a good one. Why did you really disappear? I can't spell. Did I spell disappear right? Okay. Oh man. Okay. All right. Unfortunately, peeps, we let me try this. Why did you really? We might be. Oh, maybe we're in luck this time. Let's see what it says. Oh, I didn't tell it to do one paragraph. Okay, this is probably going to be a long answer. Anyway, so let me give you guys some some background on this. Actually, no, I'll shut up. Okay, we have an answer coming. Okay, this is actually a good answer. This might be a good answer. Can you guys actually read that? Sort of. Okay, it's all right. Jesus Christ, it's writing War and Peace again. I don't think that helped. Genius. Okay, it should be playing now, so maybe there's something wrong with the audio. Did we lose audio by any chance?
Influence or reliance on a central figure. Furthermore, my disappearance allowed the Bitcoin community to take ownership of the project and drive its development in a truly decentralized manner. It was important for Bitcoin to be a collective effort guided by the consensus of its users and developers. Additionally, my anonymity served as a shield against potential threats and attacks. By remaining anonymous, I reduced the risk of becoming a target for those who might seek to undermine or control Bitcoin. Overall, my disappearance was a strategic move to safeguard
This is actually a good answer.
principles of decentralization, independence, and
Jesus Christ,
security
it almost sounds Aussie
that
now.
underpin Bitcoin. It was a necessary step to ensure the long-term success and resilience of the project. I hope this sheds some light on the reason.
Jesus. Okay, I've never heard that before. This is like someone's infecting Satoshi. Maybe he's been listening to me for too long. Okay, we got 2 minutes, so I mean we can do a couple more questions if anyone wants. Okay, we got one here. Bitcoin Lake. Okay, let's try doing new chat again. Is proof of work the... I think this is going to break it, honestly. How about I ask it this way? What's better, proof of work or proof of stake? Is that cool? Let's see what it says. Because I think the other question is like a little bit too abstract. I think it's just going to talk about like all sorts of shit, which obviously is an area of improvement. So this is okay. While we're waiting for the audio on this will be the last one. This is where we need help from the community. So we have example questions, and people are able to answer the questions, and then it goes into a pool where other Bitcoiners vote on your questions.
Proof of work,
the best ones get
POW,
sats.
and proof of stake, POS, are two different consensus algorithms used in blockchain networks. The main difference between them lies in the way they secure the network and validate transactions. POW, as seen in Bitcoin, requires miners to solve complex mathematical problems using computational power and energy. This energy expenditure is what anchors the security of the network. Miners compete to find the solution, and the first one to do so is rewarded with newly minted coins. This mechanism...
All right, I'm going to fall asleep. So it's a good answer. I'm actually going to read the paragraph which I like. So the physical and practical underpinnings of proof of work and proof of stake differ significantly. Proof of work aims to transform energy into a digital asset, making it a global sound money that is secured by the laws of physics. So that's the important part. So I like how here it's going, this is why Bitcoin has been referred to energy money or incorruptible. On the other hand, proof of stake aims to achieve consensus with less energy, but compromises its claim to censorship. So I actually think this is a pretty accurate answer. Like this, do people agree, or do they think it's a shit answer? Where are we at? Okay, only 2 people agree. Damn, okay. We need more training. Damn it. But look, my last final seconds, I just want to say thank you all for listening. I'd love you all to follow what Satoshi is doing on Twitter. So the benefit of following the Twitter account, really briefly, is that we actually use our model to do book insights or to do content insights. So all of the content that we train it on, we do insights every single day, and every single Friday we also bust some FUD. So it's kind of like a Twitter Bitcoin educator. So go and follow it there. Jump in the community, help us train Satoshi. Like you can see, there's a bit of work to go still, but you know, a lot of the groundwork and the tooling that is necessary to make this possible, we've done. And if you've got any more questions, comments, want to have a chat about this, come see me. I'll be floating around over the next day. Cool. Thank you, everyone.